main character, for example, is a little boy called Willie, and he is basically a mix between my son Max at that age and Kurt Cobain, and they both had, you know, this blonde, beautiful blonde hair, big blue eyes, and Kurt Cobain brought the interesting element of the cross-gender thing, because, you know, he didn't care. He so much didn't care about what people thought of him that he just sometimes just was wearing women's clothes and stuff like that. And I was really interested in that, so I projected that on Willie as well, because boys of that age looking like that, they struggle a lot with the fact that people think they're girls, you know, because of these stupid cliches that long hair means girl. And Kurt Cobain brought a lot of, you know, more of sort of troubled things to the character as well. So I mixed them up and was very happy to find Willie like that. And then I had a drawing when I was looking for Willie, you know, because characters is something that you don't design, you just find them because you know they exist already, you know, through the script, through your, in my case, years of things growing, but you just don't know how they manifest themselves yet. So you just have to look for it, almost like how a sculptor is looking for his sculpture, which is still locked up in a piece of marble. You know, you just sort of have to chip away the unnecessary stuff, and then it will present itself to you. That's how I experience finding characters as well. So at one point I found Willie, and I had this drawing with everything basically out of proportion. You know, his head was way too big, and his legs were way too thin, and he was wearing these big sort of like grungy army boots, and I immediately knew that this was him, you know, that this is what he should look like. And so we were looking for ways to create this, and I also knew already that I wanted to use live action because of I enjoy working with live action because of the directness. You know, there's less thought and less design in it. There's more sort of like a lot of accidents and a lot of human error in it. So I wanted to use that. But then the head was an impossible thing. So then I decided that I wanted to work with an actor wearing a prosthetic head. So it would not look like later on, you know, there was a digital head just pasted on top, but that you could actually see in the physicality of the movements and stuff that head was really there, and the weight was really there, and that she couldn't sort of accidentally put her hand like this because there was a head in the way. So she had to work around the head basically, and also things like the hair. We didn't have to go into the danger zone of having ugly CG hair, but we just had real hair. And then, of course, it was really difficult to find a prosthetic artist to actually create that, because most prosthetic artists that I spoke to said that it was impossible. That it was impossible to have that heavy a head on top of a neck, you know, and being light enough and being flexible enough and all these things. But eventually we found a studio in Holland that could actually do that for us. But it turned out to be like 4 kilograms on top of the little neck of a small actress, because the actor needed to be small because she had to interact with grown-up actors, so the proportions had to be right. And then, of course, there was all the difficulty of the face, getting that tracked on top of the prosthetic head, and all these different tests that we did, they all failed. So in the end, we basically just used the big shape of the head and had the sculpt, the prosthetic head scanned into a 3D scanner, and used all the texture and all the little mistakes and stuff like that, used that as the real skin, and then had it animated. And along the way, you know, especially Max was always the inspiration basically for the design, but also later for the animators, because I used Max's voice as a reference voice. And we shot a lot of reference video of Max, so the animators used a lot of his little shticks. Also the actress that walked around like him, she sort of had been studying him and was using his little tics, you know, when he was getting nervous and stuff like that. She noticed things. His little funny walk, because he has my funny walk. It's one of the unfortunate things that he inherited from me. And so all these little things were implemented basically into the character. So in a sense you could say that there's a reflection of Max's soul in the entirety of Willie. I don't think he was very scared of the Willie compositing. You know, Willie basically just was a lot of hard work. There were many other challenges that Dan actually he was a little bit intimidated by, but in the end he did a great job with his own tricks and his own sort of alchemy to create those worlds. I think creating the worlds was basically the most challenging thing, because you have to consider that despite the fact that this is a very ambitious project, you know, it's not a big Hollywood blockbuster production, so the budget is tiny and our facilities are tiny as well, so you have to be very creative with the means that you have as well. You know, we don't have big render farms and all these things. So I think Dan was especially outstanding in being able to create all the worlds without compromise and at the same time be clever and smart about it as well. You know, in the nitty-gritty, finding ways to make quick renders instead of, you know, long and tedious ray-traced beautiful subsurface scattered textures. No, find clever ways to actually get the same message across, but within, you know, our palette of means. I'm not sure if I was ever worried about the match. The difficulty mostly was a character like Virgil, for example, is a very complicated character to start with, because, you know, he is anthropomorphic. So you can't just say like, oh, we will just use a lot of bird, how to say this, body movements, or the way the body and the skeleton is built, and how the bones are built and the muscles are built. We just use that of a bird. It doesn't work like that, because first of all, he's a lot bigger, and then he sort of has all these strange features like human hands and a face with a very strange design. And all those elements together seem to be almost like contradictory, you know, like feathers combined with human skin, combined with, you know, hands that need to grab stuff, but at the same time he needs to be balanced on it. So we were first planning to have Virgil animated in Paris, but that fell through because of other complications. So in the end, Martijn Paasens, who was the senior animator in my team at the studio in Amsterdam, he took care of Virgil, and I am still so thankful that he did it, because it turned out such a huge challenge that we had to talk about it every day, basically just tackling problems and, you know, sort of challenges to find creative solutions to actually make it a convincing character. Where the technical issues were not visible. You know, it shouldn't look hard, because if it looks hard, then we failed to suspend your disbelief, basically. And I think Martijn did a tremendous job on the animation of Virgil, especially knowing all the difficulties. And I'm not even talking about shading and lighting and rendering yet. Those were the last of my worries, basically. We did record it beforehand, because I knew that they would bring so much to the character, you know, that we were shooting their facial expressions as well, maybe for some references, but in the end that turned out to be not very useful or not even necessary, because their voice was already so full of character. So then when you give that to the animators, you know, it's like a candy store almost, like it's so rich, so full. So you have to record those things up front. The sound is probably more than half of what I do. It's very, very important, and it's especially important, you know, music is important for me to see things, basically to start dreaming, you know, because music is a visual medium in my case, and also it speaks to your gut directly. You know, that's also what I try to do with film. I try to speak to your gut immediately instead of to your head. So that's why music is important. Sound is important because it's this other dimension that makes cinema such a unique medium, basically. You know, because the screen is still flat, even with glasses and some technology, it's still a flat screen. But with sound, you can actually sort of capture the space around your audience and really have them emerge into your world, which is what, of course, I want to do. I want people to be part of my dream for as long as the film lasts.